Good evening, everyone. I would ask commissioners to please turn on your cameras if you're here. Yeah, there's Commissioner Blankenship. Saw Commissioner Miller on earlier somewhere. I gotta find which screen she's on. There she is. Whoops. There she is. Hi, Commissioner Miller. Okay, I've got 7 commissioners by my count right now.
Commissioner Reeder, I did hear from Commissioner Milford that she's not going to be able to join us because her power is out.
Oh gosh. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's
So
my issue too. And I'm driving to my office to try to join there on my computer, but we will see how this works.
Okay. Okay. Well, hang in there. Thank you. Thank you
you.
for giving it your best shot. Jeremy, were we expecting Commissioner Arnold or not this evening?
We are not this evening.
Okay, so this is everyone that we expect to have then at this point.
That's right.
Okay, well, in that case, I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday, December 17th, and I'll call this meeting there. And I will call at 4:30 p.m. on December 17th, I will call this meeting the Air Quality Control Commission to order. We have a quorum. In attendance are myself, Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Slutsky, Commissioner Rudolph, Commissioner Sewell, Commissioner Blankenship, and Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Milford cannot join us due to a power outage, and won't have Commissioner Arnold with us tonight. I am presiding at this meeting because Commissioner Slutsky is under the weather and not feeling well. So we appreciate you jumping in and sitting in, John. But what Jeremy told me, I think it's correct. We probably don't want to listen to you cough and sneeze and wheeze. So thanks for gutting it out. And with that, we will start with our commissioner informational items this evening. So do commissioners have any informational items they wish to share with the rest of the commission? I am not seeing or hearing any. So we'll move on to the division director's report. Director Ogletree or his designee.
Be me. Hi, commissioners. My name is Stephanie Schaub. I am the Deputy Director for Regulatory Affairs with the Air Pollution Control Division, and will be providing our Division Director updates this month. All right, so we've got a few. For regulatory affairs, we have our planning and policy team continues to engage with stakeholders on upcoming rulemaking efforts, including the federal oil and gas rules, annual reporting requirements, and changes to fees, and working on priority toxic air contaminant emission control strategies. And so some of those are already in front of you, or you have recently gotten packages, and we will be bringing those to you with more detail over the coming months. Related to our legislative efforts, on Monday, December 8th, the Air Division provided testimony to the Legislative Audit Committee regarding the findings from the Office of the State Auditor performance audit of House Bill 22-1361, which was an oil and gas reporting for the Department of Public Health and Environment, the Energy Carbon Management Commission, and the Department of Revenue. And that testimony was delivered by me and addressed the 2 primary findings related to the emissions data completeness, as well as interagency reporting to ECMC. And the testimony highlighted the agency's commitment to implementing the audit recommendations of developing policy and procedures for data collection and having more interagency coordination. On Wednesday, December 17th, actually going on, I believe, as we speak, the division is presenting our stationary sources data modernization capital budget request to the Joint Technology Committee, and we'll be participating in the CDPHE Environmental Division's budget hearing with the Joint Budget Committee. So I think the one was this morning, and they're in the Joint Budget Committee now. So things are progressing there. Related to stationary sources, letting you know that the revised Title V permit for Suncor Plant 2 was issued on December 5th, 2025. The revised permit resolved EPA's 2023 order. As also, the DU Law Clinic filed a lawsuit on 12/11/2025 on behalf of CBD for the late issuance of the Cargill Title V renewal permit. So another lawsuit that we're dealing with. In compliance and enforcement, on November 19th, 2025, the Air Division issued a compliance advisory to Suncor related to the 2024 inspection, and that covers alleged violations that occurred between July 1, 2023 and June 30th, 2024. Compliance advisory is the first step in the Air Division's enforcement process, which puts the company on notice of alleged violations. The Air Division has multiple enforcement actions ongoing against Suncor, including the joint enforcement action with EPA, as well as two state-only actions. Efforts are ongoing with all of these cases. And if you are curious about anything related to the Air Division's enforcement efforts against Suncor, there is information on our website, and we can share that link. Related to our mobile sources program, on Thursday, December 4th, the Clean Fleet Enterprise Board of Directors, housed within the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, selected a third round of projects for grant funding to support clean fleet vehicles that help reduce air pollution. The Clean Fleet Vehicle and Technology Grant Program is for businesses, local governments, nonprofits, schools, and other organizations to fund low-emission or zero-emission vehicles for use in fleet operations. Selected organizations could receive up to $15.3 million combined to fund 109 vehicles once the state finalizes its contracts. Very exciting. The division with our community and partnership program, as well as our Office of Environmental Justice, has been hosting a number of public meetings in December. One was an Air Quality Compliance and Enforcement 101 meetings covering the basics on the Air Division's enforcement process and common components of an enforcement action for the general public. These environmental justice-centric meetings began in December and will continue in January. We also presented on potential changes to greenhouse gas emissions and energy management in manufacturing rules, Reg 27. Two have already been completed, with the last meeting happening in January. We had a meeting on potential changes to emission reporting requirements and permitting fees in Regs 3 and 7. That meeting was held on December 9th, and I believe there's another meeting in January for that as well. Potential changes to lawn and garden equipment requirements in Reg 29. We had a meeting where the division discussed evaluating proposed revisions that would expand the summertime equipment use restrictions to commercial lawn and garden equipment, and that was held on December 13th. And the last update from the division is from our Oil and Gas, Energy, and Carbon Management Commission liaison. The ECMC Commission voted 4-1 to stay the Civitas Sunlight Long Drilling Plan near the Aurora Reservoir. This has been in the news quite a lot if you pay attention to that. The commission instructed Civitas to develop a better alternative location analysis in order to evaluate additional locations that may be more protective of public health. And that ends it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Any questions from commissioners? I'm not seeing any. I think you got off easy. Thank you. Next up is our Attorney General's report, and I see Council Hall. I always mess it up. Haller.
Thank you, Commissioner Reuter. That's an inside joke. Sorry, Commissioner Reuter. It's my pleasure tonight to deliver the Attorney General's report. It's been a quiet month and the pending case is challenging your actions, so I'm going to use my time focusing on a couple of updates on the federal front. The federal administration recently announced a proposal to roll back the corporate average fuel economy, or CAFE standards. You may have seen that in the news. The current standards require automakers to meet an average fuel economy standard of about 50 miles per gallon by model year 2031. The proposal, or the rumored proposal, I guess, would lower that standard to 34.5 miles per gallon in that same model year of 2031. We anticipate a forthcoming rulemaking from the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, which is responsible for setting the standard. As you can likely anticipate, lowering those standards would lead to increased air pollution emissions, which can make it harder for you and the state to meet the NAAQS and the GHG targets. We'll continue to follow developments here. It's pretty early on, but we'll come back with updates as warranted based on those developments. In other news, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals recently upheld EPA's approval of an exceptional event request by the state of Michigan based on impacts of Canadian wildfires on the Detroit area's non-exceedance of the 2015 ozone standard. The court approved EPA's approval of Michigan's application to exclude 2 days of data where the state and EPA could show that the exceedances were due to wildfire smoke and not local pollution. On the flip side, the court did grant the Sierra Club's challenge, in part vacating EPA's redesignation of the area into attainment based on the state's failure to meet the RACT standards. EPA and the state argued that the filing of the redesignation application effectively stayed requirements that came due after the request, including the obligation to satisfy RACT. But based on its interpretation of the Clean Air Act, applying the Loper-Bright standard, you've seen that in the news, and we're starting to see it in some cases. The court did not defer to EPA's interpretation, interpreted the Clean Air Act on its own, and held that the Clean Air Act permits redesignation only, I'm quoting here, when a state has met all requirements applicable to the area at the time of redesignation, rather than at the time the state submits the application for redesignation. That case is Sierra Club versus EPA, and we certainly are happy to provide copies if you'd like. But that's all we have for this month, unless you have any questions.
Great. Any questions from commissioners? I'm not seeing any. Thank you. So before we go to the administrator's report, I will go back and pick up a couple of my opening remarks that I missed because I did not have the script available when we started. So this meeting is being recorded. We're meeting online via Zoom. The meeting is being recorded and streamed live via YouTube and will be made available for public viewing. And then we will start public comment after this introductory section. As theoretically planned for about 5 o'clock. I think we're running a little bit ahead of schedule, so we may be ready to start public comment between 4:45 and 4:50 with whoever's available, and we will proceed from there. We're also supported today by commission staff, Jeremy Murray, our administrator, Robin Willey, commission counsel, Corey Howler, commission counsel, and Jenny Ray, our program coordinator. Now I will turn it over to Jeremy for the administrator's review.
Thank you, Commissioner Reeder. I will be very brief, so I think we can probably start that public comment a bit early. Just wanted to quickly go over our January agenda. The agenda for January is very short, so we're planning on having just a one-day meeting, virtual only, and doing the public comments on Thursday morning, January 15th, instead of our usual Wednesday session. And then we will get to our one agenda item after that, which is to hear a request from the division to revise regulations 3 and 7 to make some revisions around emissions reporting requirements and raising of emissions fees. And those are my only updates.
Any questions from the commissioners? Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. And with that, we can segue to our public comment. Jeremy, if you could go ahead and pull up the screen and everything. I will provide a little bit of information here. Members of the public will have 2 minutes to speak. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to hand this off to Commissioner Rudolph. Go ahead, Commissioner Rudolph, it's all yours.
All right, you did such a fine job. I was happy to have you continue on. But I'm happy to take over at this point as well. So thank you. And I am Commissioner Rudolph, and I have the pleasure of helping with a public comment session tonight. Members of the public will have 2 minutes to speak, and we'll offer 3 minutes for public officials, and we have a few of those I see. The public is invited to provide oral comment on the request for rulemaking regulation numbers 24, 26, and 30, toxic air contaminants regulation number 31, landfill methane regulation, and on any other air pollution issue of their choosing, whether it is on the agenda or not. Please note that commissioners have read all written public comments, and these comments are part of the hearing record. In the interest of time and hearing from all voices, if you have already provided written comments and were planning to read your comments in this session, please consider just noting that you provided written comments, and we will move to the next commenter. The commission may not take action on issues discussed during this general public comment period. Such matters may be scheduled for further discussion or action at a later time. Spoken comments provided during this time and written comments submitted in advance will be incorporated into the rulemaking record and may be referenced during the hearings in the coming days. The session may end early if all commenters that are registered and in attendance have had an opportunity to speak. I will call on names in the order shown on the screen. You may then unmute to speak or press *6 if you are on the phone. If you have any technical difficulties, please send a chat to Jenny or raise your hand by using the raise hand function or by pushing *9 if you're on the phone. I ask that everyone please stay on time. Each person again will receive 2 minutes. The public officials will receive 3 to speak in order to accommodate everyone who signed up to speak. We will start now, and I see the list is on. All right, we'll start first with public officials. Don Cameron, are you on? Doesn't look like you are, but I'll check first. And if I call your name and you're not here, this is kind of crazy for me to say this because if you're not here, you can't hear me say this, but I will circle back and when we're done with everyone, for those who have not had a chance to speak because they're not on yet, and see if they get on and we can have them speak at that point. So I don't see Don Cameron. Josh Cooperman, I don't think he is on either. We'll go to Matt Scher.
And I'm here. Thank you, Commissioner Rudolph. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
From the inside of my car. Thanks for accommodating that. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Eagle County Commissioner Matt Scher, here today also representing Colorado Communities for Climate Action, which is a coalition of 46 local governments representing over 1/3 of Colorado's population. I'm commenting today to support the Air Pollution Control Division's plan to withdraw their proposal for a state-managed fund. Eagle County hosts American Gypsum, one of the facilities that falls under Regulation 27 and is affected by the division's proposal. I applaud the division's decision to withdraw the state-managed fund proposal, a decision aligned with stakeholder feedback. CC4CA and the local government coalition have been consistent in expressing serious concerns about the fund proposal since 2023. First, the fund option is likely to delay emissions reductions, which we cannot afford to do. Second, the fund was not permissible under the provisions of the Environmental Justice Act, as noted by the bill sponsors previously. Finally, the proposal would have worsened the displacement of emissions reductions away from disproportionately impacted communities, resulting in fewer health benefits to some of Colorado's most heavily polluted communities. For these reasons, CC4CA and the local governments it represents have been consistent in our opposition to a fund for Colorado's industrial facilities. We appreciate the division's responsiveness to our feedback as stakeholders and wholly support their plan to withdraw the fund proposal. This is a good first step toward a strong rule, and there is still work to be done. We are generally supportive of the division's other proposals for Regulation 27, although still waiting for full details. Additionally, the Commission should continue to assess whether this rule assures ongoing progress to our 2030 goals. While the projections are positive, we cannot afford to backslide. In 2025, the world surpassed 1.5 degrees of warming, a benchmark that makes a shift into a more dangerous, less stable climate system. Eagle County and many local governments across the state are facing increasing heat, drought, and forest fires due to climate change. This snow season, upon which Eagle County's economy is built, is already one of the driest on record. We are in the first line of defense against these kinds of climate impacts, and we are responsible for ensuring our residents' safety in the face of unpredictable weather events. Colorado's emissions reductions programs need to reflect the urgency of the climate crisis. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to share our comments with you today.
Thank you. Next is Mike Foster, but I'm not seeing him. So we'll go to P.T. Wood.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am Chaffee County Commissioner P.T. Wood, and I am here again to oppose the Regulation 31 rules as written. I understand and support the need to reduce our greenhouse gases and put in some regulations around methane capture. However, these regulations, as written, would make publicly owned rural landfills unsustainable financially. The cost would stop all of our sustainable waste efforts, from recycling to composting to waste diversion, and likely force us eventually to close our landfill, meaning illegal dumping on our 83% of our county that is public lands, and forcing our garbage to be transferred to the Front Range, increasing our greenhouse gas emissions. We would be more than happy to participate in methane capture at our landfill when the state sets up a fund to pay for the installation and ongoing monitoring of this equipment. So thank you for listening to me and the last few times I've been by. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to Rachel Lehman. Not seeing her. Mackenzie Wilson. And I'm going to circle back. I see that Mike Foster, I think now is here. Mike,
yes, I am.
Here? Yes, please.
Thank you for your accommodation. I apologize. I had a minor power outage and came back online. So
I suspect that there's going to be a number of folks that are having trouble getting on because of that. So I appreciate your persistence.
yes. Well, thank you so much for hearing public comment, commissioners. My name is Mike Foster, and I am a town council member for the town of Superior. And I'm here to share Superior's experience with transitioning to electric lawn and garden equipment. In 2022, the town of Superior adopted its Sustainability Action Plan. Among its many actions, the town wanted to phase in the use of all electric landscaping equipment in an effort to reduce air pollution. Since then, our landscaping partner, Vargas Property Services, has been steadily increasing the types of electrified landscaping equipment used and the number of hours those operate each year. We are now up to 27,000 hours of annual operation. Vargas has been working with manufacturers to provide field data so that equipment and battery technology can be improved. In fact, when Vargas started using equipment back in 2022, they're using first-generation technology. Today, they're using fifth-generation technology to manage the landscapes in Superior. Overall, it's been a very positive experience that shows the possibilities and benefits of moving away from gas equipment. Our residents appreciate the town's commitment to sustainability, and to the best of my knowledge, nobody's complained about the noise. I was disappointed to hear that the commission decided to delay the rulemaking on lawn and garden equipment used by commercial operators. I hope that my testimony will speak to the reasonableness of such regulations and encourage this commission to adopt a strong rule next year. The town of Superior is in full compliance with existing regulations requiring local governments to operate electric lawn and garden equipment during ozone season. We did provide some financial support to Vargas to purchase handheld electric equipment, which they've been using during the ozone months of May through October. But as an added benefit, they've ended up using that equipment well beyond the ozone season. This means that Regulation 29 can have positive impacts on air pollution even beyond its intended target of the summer months. Superior is proud to be leading by example by becoming an early adopter of innovative technology that reduces ozone pollution for our community. The Front Range continues to be out of compliance with federal ozone standards, which impacts the health of all Front Range residents. I hope you take this information into account, and I ask the Commission to take reasonable steps to reduce such pollution by further requiring tried and tested electric lawn and garden equipment. Thank you for your time this evening. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll go back down to Eddie Williams. Eddie Williams. If you're having trouble connecting, raise your hand or we'll circle back. Hey, Stockman.
Hi, I guess I skipped it. I'm in New Mexico tonight, so I don't have to deal with the power outage. So, Good evening, commissioners. My name is Taya Stockman. I'm the air quality specialist for Adams County. This evening, I would like to address Adams County's concerns with Reg 30 control strategies proposal that will be presented tomorrow by the division. We thank the division for their continued outreach with local governments and communities, but we still have some concerns about the proposal. Our community members have worked tirelessly on all aspects of the air toxics rulemakings. You have heard our residents repeatedly speak about their myriad health conditions and wide odor complaints within Commerce City and North Denver. The reason why hydrogen sulfide and benzene are on the list of priority toxic air contaminants is in large part due to our community's concerns. The division even showed modeling of hydrogen sulfide having a hazard quotient greater than 1 within this community. However, the sources of hydrogen sulfide complaints within this community are left out of the rulemaking proposal, namely Metro Water Recovery and Suncor Oil Refinery. Suncor is a large source of most PTACs, and yet there is only one control strategy recommended for Suncor. This is reducing the thresholds for leak detection and repair. The division has pointed to a refinery report in a potential future rulemaking about refineries to address air toxics from Suncor. When will this report be available for public review and comment? As of now, there is nothing on the Commission's calendar through 2027 pertaining to this report or the potential refinery rulemaking. Adams County is concerned that the refinery report has been a black box for local governments and our residents. Neither the division nor the consultant working on this project has engaged the county for our understanding of health concerns or what residents are particularly concerned about. Furthermore, these residents living next to Suncor should have already been consulted about what they want to see in this refinery report and this process. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next is Shayna Oliver.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Great, thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the lands that we live and work are the ancestral lands of the 48 tribal nations among the 554 federally recognized tribes that hold ancestral ties to the state of Colorado. My name is Shayna Oliver. I'm a field coordinator with Moms Clean Air Force, Echo Madres, Colorado. Moms Clean Air Force is a community of more than 1 million parents, guardians, and caregivers nationwide with over 44,000 members here in Colorado, fighting for clean air and a healthy climate. Today, I'm testifying on behalf of our Colorado parents who are counting on your leadership to protect our most vulnerable communities and frontline workers through common sense air toxic protections, especially those that safeguard children's and maternal health. Moms Clean Air Force is calling on your leadership to develop strong common sense control strategies for Suncor Refinery that protect everyone from refinery workers to nearby neighborhoods and schoolyards. I'm also a mother of 4 and a descendant and survivor of the Indian Removal Act, known to the Diné as the Long Walk of the Navajo. My family of 6 lives, works, learns, and plays within 5 miles of Suncor Refinery. Early mornings and weekends are often marked by strong foul odors. Communities even closer to the refinery endure far harsher conditions that are equally lethal to our health. If I walk outside at the wrong time of the day and smell these toxic emissions, the effects are debilitating to the mind and body. I cannot go about my day without being nauseated and getting headaches that leave me feeling foggy for 1 to 2 days. My youngest son and I both live with asthma, and according to the American Lung Association State of the Air report, Denver ranks the 6th worst regions in the nation for ground level ozone pollution. In communities like ours, it's safer to stay indoors than to spend time outside. Through the air quality monitoring, we know that Suncor Refinery is a major violator and a significant source emitter of hydrogen sulfide, benzene, formaldehyde, hexavalent chromium. These air toxics increase the risk of asthma attacks, respiratory issues, lung cancer, adverse birth outcomes, heart attacks, strokes, and neurological developmental problems. State policy gives our leadership the authority and responsibility to propose common sense protections that better safeguard our communities from harmful pollutants emitted from industrial sources like Suncor Refinery. Moms Clean Air Force, Eco Madres, Colorado urge you to adopt strong common sense control strategies that can reduce Suncor's pollution now. Please act to protect our children, our families, and our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Tyke James. Okay, let's move on to Tom Frankowitz.
Thank you.
There you are.
Hi. Thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Tom Frankwitz, and I'm the principal at the Rocky Mountain Institute focused on waste methane mitigation. I'm here in strong support of Regulation 31 and want to encourage the Commission to swiftly adopt Errata 4. Colorado's landfill methane rule has the potential to meaningfully reduce one of the state's most potent climate pollutants. Methane reduction is one of the most immediate, high-impact strategies we have to protect air quality and public health. Colorado households, especially those living near the state's landfill sites, are suffering from the adverse effects of air pollution. The Commission has a clear opportunity today to finalize a rule that moves Colorado in the right direction. Errata 4 represents a carefully and thoroughly negotiated compromise among the involved parties. It's the product of extensive discussion, technical analysis, and collaboration. Importantly, it addresses the core concerns raised throughout the process while preserving the integrity and enforceability of the rule. I urge the Commission to move forward with Errata 4 that has already reached full consensus among all parties. Moving forward with this allows the finalization of the rule and for implementation to begin. Colorado has positioned itself as one of the nation's leaders in methane mitigation. Advancing this rule today will maintain that leadership and deliver real climate and public health benefits, while spurring adoption of cost-effective, readily available, homegrown technologies to improve safety, efficiency, and operations. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to protecting Colorado's air quality and its citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Harmony Cummins.
Oh, hello?
There you are.
Hello? I can't hear them at all.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, they can hear me. Okay, I need everyone quiet, please.
Again, if y'all want to come to this side.
Come on in, everybody. I need everyone quiet, please. Todos callados, por favor. Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Harmony, the founder of the Greenhouse Connection Center here in North Denver. Our mission is to elevate community voices. Tonight, we're having fun and making tamales, just 4 minutes away from Suncor and 3 minutes away from the wastewater treatment plant. We've been partying Gem 2 and air toxics. We host community meetings where we bridge the gap between government and impacted residents so that those who breathe polluted air every day can participate in decisions about it. 5 critical points. First, oppose the SCARF. We support removing the State Climate Action Reserve Fund from GEM 2. And ongoing issues with GEM 2. Trading systems don't deliver the local pollution reductions our communities need and deserve. Suncor wants to reduce just 30,000 tons on site and trade 100,000. That doesn't give people the needed co-pollutant reductions and improve health outcomes. Second, data failures. We have participated in policy spaces where we experience the same issue again. Data accuracy issues, verification, transparencies, gaps, silos, utilization. We need improved systems. Third, compliance and enforcement. We can have all the legislation and the rules in the world, but without meaningful compliance and enforcement, we're just putting words on paper. Since the baseline for Suncor, they've actually seen increased emissions of 20,000 tons, while they've generated $6.7 billion in Canadian profits and paid shareholders $5 billion. They have the resources to invest in communities, but choose to not improve in our health, but into their shareholders. Fourth, hydrogen sulfide underreporting concerns. We have serious concerns about H2S underreporting, especially nighttime spikes around Suncor and wastewater. We need the state to please provide additional monitoring. Fifth, exclusion from the refinery report. Community members, orgs, and local governments have all been left out. 5, prioritize with your limited resources the areas suffering the most. I distribute air purifiers to families experiencing nosebleeds, asthma, cancers, babies born without developed airways. Everyone deserves clean air. Colorado's most impacted communities have paid long enough. We ask you for data improvements, strong rules in GEM 2 and air toxics, and stronger compliance and meaningful enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Next is Elizabeth Schroeder. Elizabeth Schroeder.
I'm here. Hi, good afternoon. Hi, I am here representing Full Circle Future in support of proposed updates to Regulation 31. Thank you for the opportunity to comment today. Throughout this months-long rulemaking process, the communities most impacted by landfill pollution have spoken loud and clear. The status quo is broken. Every year, landfills across Colorado emit more methane than 1 million gas-powered cars, alongside toxic pollutants that directly harm the health and well-being of the 1 in 3 Colorado residents who live nearby. Colorado's environment and communities are paying the price, and we can't wait any longer to take meaningful action. Fortunately, we don't need to. Highly achievable, cost-effective solutions are already at our fingertips. Many, like improved methane monitoring practices, expedited processes for adopting proven technology, and common sense requirements for gas collection and control systems, are included in the compromise agreement before you today. By proposing and considering strong, comprehensive, and science-backed updates to Regulation 31, CDPHE and AQCC have demonstrated national leadership in tackling one of our most solvable climate and health challenges. Errata 4 represents a meaningful step forward that will protect frontline communities, cut climate warming pollution, and demonstrate that Colorado is committed to cleaner air, healthier families, and a more just future for everyone. I urge you to adopt it as written, while also pursuing all available pathways to reducing waste, decreasing our reliance on landfills, and building a new status quo. Thank you for the time, and thank you for the effort that it took to reach this point.
Thank you. Next is Jamie Geeson.
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your time this evening. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. My name is Jamie Geeson. I'm a native of the Front Range and a resident of Thornton for 20 years. I've also worked in Commerce City for 7 years. I'm familiar with Suncor and the area adjacent to it. I'm here tonight to speak in support of withdrawing the proposal for the SCARF fund. Suncor already pollutes at an unacceptable level with at least 9,000 clean air violations. The news is filled with bad press about Suncor, such as their neighbors complaining about chronic health problems and accusations of self-monitoring and self-reporting of those violations. Suncor doesn't do more about this. They don't need to because they have the money to buy off these concerns. $10 million in fines is no problem for them. They've had a wrongful death lawsuit for an employee, and their answer to that is to hire a lawyer to claim that it was their best year ever for worker safety. And they still have enough money after all of this to pay their CEO $35 million in salary. If Suncor is allowed to pay to pollute instead of being forced to reduce their on-site emissions, that is exactly what they will do. And the costs, both physical and financial, via the healthcare costs and the property values, will continue to be paid not by Suncor, but by the residents of Commerce City, of Denver, and everybody who lives along the Front Range. I am urging this commission to be fair, which means to hold Suncor responsible to reduce their on-site emissions and to not create the fund that can help them exploit that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Lauren Swain.
Sorry. Trying to turn the video on. Thank you, everybody, for the opportunity to comment today. I'm Program Director for PSR Colorado, the Colorado chapter of Physicians for Social Responsibility. PSR Colorado elevates the voices of health professionals for policies and practices that protect current and future generations from the health impacts of climate change and air toxics, both of which are largely the result of the production of fossil fuels and their byproducts. As such, we concur with Adams County, the Greenhouse Connection, and others in supporting the division's decision to consider removing the SCAR fund as a mechanism for attaining compliance with the GEM 2 emission reductions. And we also support Greenhouse Connection's advocacy for stronger compliance and meaningful enforcement, as well as prioritizing emission reductions. The SCARF fund would result in fewer co-pollutant reductions and therefore fewer health protections for the community. The Environmental Justice Act intended significant co-pollutant reductions from the greenhouse gas emission regulations for industrial facilities. So it is essential that those reductions occur on site and do not rely on reductions from other facilities in a trading program or a funding program that does not reduce those localized health impacts. Suncor is by far the Suncor is by far the largest polluter in the GEM 2 group. It has logged multiple air and water quality violations and also has the biggest gap between their planned reductions and their required reductions. So as the most damaging of these GEM 2 facilities, it must be held accountable to the local community. It cannot be allowed to buy its way out of the pollution that it is forcing onto this community. That is not just, and it's not effective in really reducing overall emissions or in protecting communities from the air toxics that have been identified in as priorities in the other proceeding. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Manuel Marquez.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. My name is Manuel Marquez, policy fellow at Cultivando, a community-based organization working with residents in Commerce City and GES. Cultivando has spent years working alongside community members who live next to the Suncor refinery. We've heard directly from residents about ongoing health concerns, odors, and cumulative exposure to air toxics. Despite that, no one from the division or the consultant has reached out to Cultivando about the refinery report, not to ask what community concerns should be centered and not to explain what this report will or won't lead to. What's troubling is that this report is being cited as a reason to delay control strategies for Suncor, while there's no clear public timeline for when the report will be released, how the public can review it, or how it will translate into actual regulatory action. Residents living next to the refinery should not be learning about this process after decisions are already being postponed because of it. Meaningful engagement should shape the report from the beginning, not be treated as an afterthought. And I also want to briefly express our support for the division's decision to withdraw the State Climate Action Reserve Fund proposal. A pay-to-pollute mechanism like SCARF would delay on-site emission reductions and shift benefits away from disproportionately impacted communities. That outcome is inconsistent with the goals of environmental justice and public health protection. And so, under the Regulate Air Toxics Act, the Commission has clear authority to adopt state-only protections that go beyond federal minimums to protect public health. So choosing to wait is a policy decision and not a legal requirement. Therefore, I urge the Commission to prioritize transparency around this report and ensure that impacted communities and trusted community-based organizations are meaningfully engaged before further delays occur. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Okay, next, Patricia Garcia Nelson.
Buenas noches, commissioners. My name is Patricia Garcia Nelson. I am the Colorado Fossil Fuels Just Transition Advocate for Green Latinos. I was born and raised here in Greeley, Colorado. I want to start by saying that we support the division's decision to withdraw the SCARF. It is the right decision for community health. A fund would have resulted in fewer on-site emissions, delayed air quality improvements, and have fewer health benefits for communities already facing pollution burdens. On-site emissions reductions are the most effective way to reduce greenhouse gas and toxic co-pollutants that harm people's health. The Environmental Justice Act was explicit in its intent. Greenhouse gas regulations must deliver real direct reductions, particularly in disproportionately impacted communities, and cannot rely on market-based mechanisms when those mechanisms fail and do not reduce pollution at the source. Withdrawing the SCARF is a good start, but it's not enough. Suncor is by far the largest polluter in the GEM group, and it is has the largest gap between its planned reductions and what the rule requires, making the facility most likely to rely on trading other than real on-site solutions. It is 2026 and incidents from 2024 are only now being addressed while pollution continues every day and thousands of people are harmed every day. Emissions reductions that do not happen at these facilities do not benefit the people living there. Importantly, the Commission has now has stronger enforcement to address these issues with SB 24229, expanding the authority of the division and enforce rules like GEM 2 and not leaving them as optional guidance. When violations are repeated and ongoing and continue to harm public health, they can raise beyond the routine non-compliance and amount to environmental crimes. This is precisely why the Attorney General's office has established the Environmental Crimes Unit as part of the state's commitment to protect public health and environment and to address situations where continued pollution requires escalation beyond routine civil penalties. And just to recap, we need to keep emission reductions on site, require strong enforcement, and use the full authority that the Commission now has, and including escalation to environmental crimes when warranted. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's the end of the list. I'm going to circle back to see if those who haven't spoken have tuned in. Don Cameron, Josh Cooperman, Rachel Lehman, Mackenzie Wilson, Eddie Williams, and Tyke James. If any of you are on, please raise your hand, turn on your screen. I'm not seeing anybody. Jeremy, are you seeing anyone? It says Eddie is here, but oh, Jim Dennison. Hold on just a second. We're going to allow others to speak in just a minute, but I wanted to see if any of the folks that have signed up are here.
It looks like Eddie Williams is on, but he's apparently not able to unmute.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you can work with him a little bit and we can come back to him. We've got some time. If there are others that have not signed up but would like to speak, if you would raise your hand. And there's Jim Dennison. Go ahead.
Thank you, and good evening. My name is Jim Dennison. I'm a staff attorney for the Sierra Club. I support the division's plan to withdraw its proposal for a SCARF fund that would provide an alternative form of compliance with the GEM rule. The commission directed the division to develop this fund proposal when it enacted the GEM rule in 2023. At that time, the commission's statement of basis and purpose contemplated that such a fund may be needed to, quote, serve as a compliance option for any GEM 2 facility unable to comply by other means laid out in the rule. Of course, this was before the GEM 2 rule ever took effect, and neither the commission nor the division had the benefit of over 2 years' experience implementing GEM 2, managing its credit trading market, and reviewing GEM 2 facilities' proposed compliance plans as they do now. This experience has shown that the fund is not needed. Thus far, credit prices at auction have been remarkably low, and the division projects that there will be a significant amount of excess credits by 2030. The commission could not have known any of this when it directed the division to propose a fund, but now we all know better. If anything, experience has shown that the GEM rule's emission reduction targets can and should be strengthened, not watered down through the creation of a new compliance fund. Continuing with the proposed fund would waste division resources and risk undermining GEM 2's focus on reducing on-site emissions from Colorado's largest industrial polluters, along with health-harming co-pollutants in disproportionately impacted communities. I urge you to approve the commission's proposal to withdraw the SCARF fund and revise your direction to the division based on what the last 2 years have shown us. A pay-to-pollute fund is not needed, and it could undermine the goals of the GEM rules. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has not signed up who would like to speak this evening? If so, please raise your hand. And Ms. Williams, I am sorry that we cannot hear what you have to say. I know there are troubles trying to connect. I guess with that, I'm not seeing anyone else who wishes to speak. That would then conclude our public comment session this evening. Commissioner Reeder, do you want to take over again and sign us off?
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Rudolph. Thanks to all our commenters tonight. I think I heard a lot of very, very good and thoughtful comments, and I always appreciate folks' preparation and willingness to share their perspective. With that, we will adjourn for the evening. We will reconvene tomorrow, Thursday, December 18th at 9 a.m. The meeting will be conducted in person at the CDPHE campus in the Saban Conference Room and also virtually via Zoom. And with that, we'll wrap up for the evening and be adjourned. We'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good evening.
Thank you.